It's the most wonderful time of the year. It is time to start talking about draft prospects. Hey, man, San Francisco 49ers will be having 10 draft picks in the upcoming 2023 draft. And I have a very special guest that's going to help us break stuff down. We're going to talk about that and more in 49ers news right here on the Wayne Breezy Show.
Breezy this, breezy that. They know I'm gold-blooded. I got the Niners on my back, you know. Breezy this, breezy that. Ain't nobody working like Breezy, and that's a fact. Overmotivated is an understatement. Gold-blooded to the core, got your squad hating. Breezy make it look easy. Breezy on everything like 05067 Wheezy. This is not a game. Yeah, we faithful in every way. And even though we on the East Coast, very loyal to the Bay. Heavy red and gold every day. And if you really a Niner fan, I know you can relate. Applying pressure with this content like Smaller Bear. We not accepting no slander about Trey, so beware. I stay in exclusively Niner hats. And I always tell the truth, this exclusively Niner facts. Breezy this, breezy that. They know I'm gold-blooded. I got the Niners on my back, you know. Yeah. Breezy this.
What's going on, faithful? It's your boy Wayne Breezy, and welcome to the special edition of the Wayne Breezy Show. I told you there's only going to be shows 3 times a week, and what's happening is we have a special show for you as a special treat just for you guys for being great, faithful members of the channel as well as subscribers. I truly appreciate you. While you're here, make sure you hit that like button. It's the thumbs up. Truly would appreciate it. All right, now before we bring on our special guest and get right down to the nitty-gritty, I promise it's not going to be a long show. We're going to get down to stuff. There's prospects we want to look at, and maybe, just maybe, our special guest will do his own version of a mock draft as if he was John Lynch. We'll see what happens. We'll see how time permits for everybody. But again, thank y'all for tuning in. I gotta give a quick shout out to all the members of the channel. Shout out to Tony Montana, Peachy Brown is in the building, 49er Jeff, Christy Marie, Terrence. What's good? I see you, Cinnamon Kiss. It's a little later in the day, right? So everybody's kind of like here. Mike Ing is in the building. Return from the Jedi is here. Miss Jacqueline Knox is in the building. Shout out to all the members, man. VZ408. I appreciate you. All the subscribers, thank you as well. I do appreciate you for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get down through the formalities. Again, don't forget to hit the like button right here. Like it. Thumbs it ups. You know how we do. Hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to leave a comment. And most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And if you are subscribed to the channel and you absolutely love what we do here on the Wayne Breezy Show, make sure you become a member today. There are 3 tiers out there. There's $2.99, $4.99, $9.99. Pick the $9.99 one. I'm just playing. Pick whichever one fits you. I promise you're going to enjoy the perks. But don't forget to become a member of the channel today. Matter of fact, do it right now while we're doing the show. Then when your name highlights in a color, I'll pop it up there and welcome you to the channel. Don't forget to listen to the show on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. Leave the 5-star rating. All right. And there's exclusive content. And this is for people that want more and more. All right. Go to the Patreon, www.patreon.com/Wayne Breezy, where you won't get the normal regular content here. It's going to be exclusive shows just for you. There's a Breezy this, Breezy that episode coming up. I got special shows with other people on there as well. So make sure you go ahead and you become a member of the Patreon. If you're watching on Twitch, don't forget to subscribe for free with your Amazon Prime account. Don't forget to follow on Twitter as well as become a subscriber on Twitter right there at Wayne Breezy. Instagram and Facebook is at the Wayne Breezy. Shout out to everybody that's still rocking like an OG on Facebook. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to go to the website and particularly go to this link right here, www.twben.com. Check out the apparel. Hold up, I gotta move this joint. You can see I got the Wayne Breezy hoodies and the tees popping, locking, and dropping and ready to go for you guys. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. All right. You don't want to miss out on the new apparel that's going to be going down. And for the latest in 49ers news, make sure you go to 49erswebzone.com. And last but not least, shout out to our sponsors over there at Residency. We truly appreciate you. Listen, get your Residency caps, hats, hoodies, tees. They have everything. Make sure you go there. Use the code, all right, go to the website, www.residency.com. Make sure there's a number 3 in that second E. Use the code SFBreezy. Save on your purchase today. We'll do another sponsor shout out a little bit later in the show. All right. Like nothing really going on in 49ers world. Brock Purdy postponed his surgery. We talked about that a couple of days ago. Trey Lance is supposedly rumored to be traded to the Raiders. That's the last thing that I heard. Taylor Lewan was released, but apparently that's the worst idea, bringing in and former all-pro left tackle to come in and play right tackle because, basically he's been injured for the past couple of years. It's the worst idea ever, according to 49ers Twitter. I think it'd be a great idea, but hey, it is what it is. Nobody has to listen to me. I'm just Wayne Breezy. All right. But there's nothing really going on in the NFL. We do have some dates we're going to check out. So make sure you have your calendars and put all these dates in your calendars because there's some NFL stuff that's going down. You don't want to miss out, especially the combine. It's coming up. And before the combine starts, there's the HBCU Legacy Bowl. All right. So they had their combine and we're going to bring on our special guest. So before I do so, I definitely want to make sure I bring them out. I see that we have a super chat contribution already. And you already know with the super chat contributions, we got to give love to the very first one. We do a special segment toward the end of the show. So if you want to give your super chats, you want to ask your questions, make sure you give your super chats, put them out there. They'll be saved toward the end of the show. If you have draft prospects you want feedback on, you already know how to do that. But shout out to Jacqueline Knox, the one and only. She says, let's break this draft down. We talk about the 2023 draft. Jacqueline Knox, thank you so much for the contribution. I'm hoping that this one popped up exactly the way that you wanted it to. I remember you were saying that YouTube it acts funny towards you when you do your contributions, but I appreciate you and your contribution. All right, so here we go. I wish I had like the NBA theme music from like the Chicago Bulls. I can't do it in my head right now, but that's what I wish. I'm about to introduce this particular young gentleman right here. Okay. He is the lead draft analyst for NFL Draft Blitz and the director of scouting for Dreammakers LLC, an affiliate company of Young Money LLC. I have to ask if that's the music Young Money, so I'm going to ask that question. Don't forget. He's been scouting for about 6 years now and in the media, and he's evaluated several thousands of players. Ladies and gentlemen from all over the world. We're YouTube. This is international. This is over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. John Vogel. I'm hoping I'm saying his name correctly. What's going on, baby?
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. And yes, it's going great, man. It's Thursday. We're getting ready for Combine next week, and gonna have some fun in Indianapolis, man.
Oh, so you're gonna be out there going. I was supposed to go, and it's just like so many things came up. So I guess I'm gonna be hitting you up, like, yo, what do you see? What you see out there? You know what I'm saying? Combine's probably gonna be fun. I was at the Senior Bowl. Did you get a chance to go to? Were you at the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, I was there. I did the Tropical this year because that's what we're sponsored with them. As their Draft Blitz. We're the scouting partners with them. And so I guess there's a little bit of input on that roster. So I wanted to be there for that. And then, do the Senior Bowl, and then we'll do the Combine. So,
all right. So before I want to get your take on the Senior Bowl. Before we do, I want the people to get to know who you are. All right. So I'm going to ask you some random questions. All right. And then I'm glad you went to the Senior Bowl. I'm glad you were there. We didn't get a chance to meet at the Senior Bowl, which is cool. It was a lot of people there. I met some, didn't meet some others.
There's only 1,000 people there.
Right.
They were credentialed media. Yeah, no big deal.
It was crazy, right? And so I'm like, dang, I wish I had the chance or the opportunity to meet just about everybody. But once I was in the stadium, man, I was zoned in. I knew what I was looking for, who I was looking for. And that's just kind of like how it went. All right. So question number 1, right? All right, when you're on the road, what's your go-to meal? Like when you're on the road. So no matter what state you're in, no matter what city, what is something that you have to have on the road?
So I personally like a lot of Italian, right? So I'm a pasta guy big time. So I usually have to try the, whatever specialty that they have, whether it's Cajun pasta of some sort, a chicken parmesan pasta type deal. It's like, I gotta go pasta, man. That's just my go-to. It's not too expensive either. So it's right there in that fine balance between I'm getting a good meal, but I'm not paying too much.
I like that. I like that. Now, see, for me, I'm not an Italian for authenticity when it comes to pasta. So like I do love my Italian food, and I don't like to try it everywhere. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, right? So it's like right above New York, and we have some really authentic Italian food here in my town. Like we're probably number one for pizza. So I stopped eating pizza out when I go anywhere because unless it's New York, Philly pizza's I'm not a huge fan of the deep dish in Chicago. It's totally different. I don't like pie. I like pizza. And so like if it's not what I get from here, I probably won't try it. But pasta, you shouldn't be able to go wrong with pasta. Comes down to the sauce anyway.
Yeah,
Pasta.
there's a few things I've tried a few places where I've been, I don't know about this, because you got, sometimes you walk in there and you're like, okay, well the price isn't bad. It's $12. Okay, we could do that. That sounds great. And then we get in there and it's like, is this pasta been sitting in the fridge for 2 days?
See what I'm saying?
I'm a little bit confused at the moment.
That's what I mean. So like, and then my man Collie comes up here and says Wayne likes Olive Garden. Listen, if I go to the Olive Garden, it's for salad and breadsticks. Like I really won't even eat the pasta there because if you've ever had like that real good authentic pasta with the right ragu or the right sauce or whatever it is that you get, like you'll never go to a chain restaurant for pasta. But sometimes you have to. Like when you're out, I was in Alabama. All right, so in Alabama, let's go to the Senior Bowl. Like where did you eat? Like what was one place that was not a chain restaurant? It was kind of like an authentic something from Alabama. When you think of Alabama, you probably think of barbecue, seafood because it's on the water. So what did you eat? Like what was authentic to you there?
I actually I went to Beer Garden. So Beer Garden is probably about 3 blocks from the Renaissance. You go down 3 blocks, you take a left, you go another 3 blocks, and you're going to run straight into it. It's a small, intimate place. You walk in there, the bar, they got a big, long bar, and the bar is, behind the bar is the kitchen. Literally, it's right there. Like they're cooking their food right there. They had, I want to say, 90 different beers that were on tap, and there was a lot of different, Yeah, there's a lot of variety. So I ended up going with it was some sort of, it was a European ale is what it was. And it was very sweet and had like a little bit of a bitter to it as well. But the sweet, overrided the bitter. It was awesome. And the food wasn't bad either. I think I got these little, it was a steak sandwich, believe it or not. Ooh. It was legit. It was a ribeye steak that they cooked up and they put on a sandwich. It was wild.
That sounds amazing. So my experience, I met up with a really good friend of mine, Johnny Dell from Johnny Dell's Football Academy. He's out here. And he took me to 2 places. The first place, we went to this seafood place, and he's gonna kill me because I can't think of the name of it, but it was
there's a bunch of them down there. It's okay.
But this was like further away from where we were, like at the boat. Like you had to drive like maybe 25 to 30 minutes to get here, and it was like right on the water. And I had alligator bites, bro, and I'm like, oh man, these taste like chicken. Like it was really good. The alligator bites, and then of course I just had my shrimp. That's my go-to. And then I went to this place called the Meat Boss, which was actually close to where we were for the Senior Bowl. And the Meat Boss is this like smoked barbecue, kind of like shack type of a spot. And the moment you hit the outside of the door, you just like, yeah, like let me eat. I want all the meat. And so I ordered my food. I think I had the pulled pork, but then the owner, who happened to just be sitting there, just came up, started talking. The one thing I do love about like the people down there in Alabama, like the Southern hospitality was off the hook. Like it was just like something that it was like a shell shock for me because I'm not really used to that up here up north.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like culture shock. I'm like, oh snap, this is wow. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So she offered me some rib candy, bro. And all it is like rib pieces cut up, the meat portions, a little gristle sometimes. And it was like with brown glazed caramel sugar sauce or whatever, and she took care of us, and I just thought that was one of the most amazing things. I mean, she just happened to be sitting there like getting ready to get some people like cater to some parties or whatever, and she just overheard us talking. She knew we were at the combine, we were covering it for our channels and things like that, and then she just was super hospitable. So shout out to the owner, which I can't remember people's names because that was like 2 weeks ago, but I do remember the establishment name is called the Meatball. So if you're in Alabama, check out the Meatballs and check out the Beer Garden. Those are the two places I kind of like remember. So that's what's up. All right, we got food out the way. What got you into scouting? Like, what out of all the things you can do when it comes to sports, why is it scouting? Like, what made you get into scouting?
Yeah, this actually came up yesterday on Twitter. And I kind of went with the short story, but I'll keep it somewhat short still. So I didn't get the chance to play football. I was homeschooled growing up. There was a law in Tennessee that didn't allow homeschoolers to participate unless you had a 100% homeschool team. That changed my junior year of high school. And so I was in a unique situation where I could pick one of 4 different high schools because of my location. And so it was almost like I always played in the backyard stuff and, played with a bunch of different people like that. And backlot type stuff, I was really good at it. People wanted me to play. So there was a little bit of a recruiting process in that. And so I picked the school I was going to go play for. And I had the last step I had to do is I had to go before the city, the school district, the school board, and get the final approval, basically showing that I was, homeschooled and blah, 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 all this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, they denied me. And when I walked in there, and it was because there was some sort of loophole or whatever that I wasn't allowed to participate. And so where I lived, there wasn't a large homeschool base like that. So there wasn't any getting in after and playing that. So I had to do something football related. Mm-hmm. And so I went the media route. I've always been a writer. As I started getting into it and doing writing and studying football and starting to try to get X's and O's and understand it a little bit better and all that, I would pay attention to Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, the ESPN draft analysts, and I kept realizing that they were wrong all the time. And so I said, well, I got to watch these guys myself. And so I started watching them myself, and the next thing I knew, it's a black hole, man. You get sucked into it. It's just never ending. Yeah, it's never ending football content. There's so much to learn. There's so much to it. And I guess it was about 2018, 2019 is when I said, I've got to go the scouting route directly. Like, that's the way I have to go.
That's interesting, right? The question I would have is, when are any of those analysts ever right? Like, they're rarely always.
Sometimes they are. Okay, there are guys that they're right about. And
okay. As far as like number one picks are easy, right? Like right. that's the easy route. But it comes down to like, so you're right. They are right typically, especially when you're trying to get the number one. But sometimes it's not that they're wrong with their scouting. It's just like sometimes teams just don't agree and they're going a different route, and then they get wrong with picking the player to the team. That's kind of like what I mean, which I think is almost impossible because there's so many choices. And then it comes down to like how the draft board falls. Did this team pick the person that you had? For example, San Francisco 49ers in 2019, they drafted Javon Kinlaw after trading DeForest Buckner, and they drafted Javon Kinlaw with the Indianapolis Colts pick, and 49er fans were like, what? But they thought that Kinlaw was going to be the replacement of Buckner, and I've been trying to explain, like, after years have gone by, like, you know what? I guarantee you there were only 2 defensive tackles that went in that draft. Their guy got picked before they picked Javon Kinlaw, and they went with the second best player, which happens. And sometimes that just doesn't pan out, right? I mean, like, for teams.
And it's interesting you bring up Kinlaw because I think that was 2020 because I was at the Senior Bowl that year he was there.
It was 2020. Yep.
And Kinlaw looked unstoppable the first day of the Senior Bowl
Especially
practice.
In the Senior Bowl. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he was just absolutely unstoppable, and he sat the rest of it. And that set the precedent because no one had really done that outside a quarterback at the Senior Bowl.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, and I got a question for you. Just don't let me forget.
People started sitting the practices after the first day. There were 4 or 5 of them that did it this year, and so Kinlaw was the guy that really started that.
Keep going. I got the question. Keep
Go
going.
ahead. Shoot the question. Let's do it.
DeJuan Jones practiced the first day. And I promise you, I didn't see him at the media on that Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever the day we were at the thing. They were in the hotel at the convention center. I didn't see him there. He was supposed to be there. He didn't schedule to show up. Then he didn't show up to practice that day. I didn't see him practice. He might have played. I just stopped paying attention to him. But DeJuan Jones, the offensive tackle from the Ohio State, did he suffer an injury? Because he just was a no-show at some point.
Yeah, so he was there the third day of practice. He was not in pads. Because I think I got a picture of him. And I posted it. I didn't realize he had sat the second day. Like, because there's so much going on there. It's hard to keep up with it all. But so I took a picture of him walking the sidelines. Said, yeah, he's not playing. That was day 3. So it would have been Thursday. Now, he did not play the game.
He didn't play the game.
And so I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. So supposedly, yes, there was an injury.
Okay.
The agents.
You don't have to. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Which is what. So when I was there, I was like, something had to happen because a few players did tweak something. And I was like, damn. They were like having great practices. And then when they got tweaked, they had a couple of DBs, a wide receiver, like just few players that just didn't do the whole thing. So you don't have to.
I think Puka Nacua sat after the first day.
Yes.
And I think the Troy linebacker Marshall sat the rest of the time. There were a bunch of them. Look, the thing with DeJuan was they said that he had a concussion.
Okay.
And
that works for me.
There's a lot of agents in this game, for people who don't understand, that they'll pull their clients and they'll say they're hurt. And that's just how it is. They're just trying to protect them, and there's a positive and there's a negative to it, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you say that they're hurt, you got to basically come up with something that sounds like BS so that the teams know that, okay, he's not hurt. They're just pulling him out, but he doesn't want to say it. So it doesn't hurt him as bad. Whereas if you say, yeah, he had an injury, that's the issue. Is I don't know why unless he really had a concussion, I don't know why they would say that. That's not one of those injuries that you say, because you don't play with head injuries.
Good point. Didn't think about that. Well, first day, which was Tuesday, he practiced.
Yep.
You said he wasn't dressed on Wednesday, which makes sense. But Tuesday he did practice. Now he was amazing in his one-on-one drill. So there's a possibility something happened, because I did see him very slow in 11-on-11s. Like he just didn't look normal. So there's a possibility that something happened, and it could have been that. And that makes perfect sense. You say he had the concussion, and this will go to our theory to why he didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and didn't play on Saturday. I mean, there was no practice on Friday, but Wednesday, Thursday, and then didn't play. So it makes sense. So that's I can get that. That makes sense. There were no blue tents for those that weren't there. There was no blue tents out there, but there were hella like staff emergency crews. Like it was dope. It was a dope experience. For me, it was my first. So it was hard for me to take it all in. But I enjoyed just about every moment. I think I fell in love with like at least 5 players. Give me, if you can, off the top of your head, if you can give me your top 3, cool. If you can give me your top 5, even better, just from the Senior Bowl. And I'm going to see if I can agree or,
So the problem is I came in, I loved guys coming in already. And so one of my favorite guys that was there to begin with was Tajay Spears, the running back out of Tulane.
Wait. So don't be mad if I interrupt you. It's only because I can't curse yet. It's too early. I agree. I'm trying to explain to my faithful about this particular kid. Now, I'm not like you, so I didn't come in already knowing. But if you want to know who wooed me out of my socks, it was that kid. Every single day, his drills, best blocking running back, and the drills you saw, like pass blocking. Then and 7-on-7s, he was the best, and 11-on-11s, he was the best. Please take back over. I just wanted I wanted people to understand that name, Tajay Spears, because he's probably, after this combine, which we'll talk about, his draft stock's gonna at least put him into the second round. There you
go. The deal with him is size, right? And so I think that's straight up. Now he won the weigh-ins because he weighed in at 205. That was more than anybody was expecting. We were expecting him to come in like 190, 195. So he's got some girth to him. Like you said, the pass protection. That was what caught my attention. Was he's a very elusive runner, but it's the pass protection and it's the ability to catch out of the backfield that makes him special. And so the story is, I was sitting there, I think it was with Bo Machete. He worked with, I think he works with NFL Draft Bible, and he's done some work with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But we're sitting there watching during practice. I think this was day 2, and it might have even been the first day. I can't remember, but they all kind of blend together. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we're sitting there, and I saw him lining up in pass protection in a 1-on-1 drill with the linebackers, and I forget who it might have been the Jackson State kid that was lined up against him. And I nudged on Bo, and I was like, watch Tajay here. And at that moment, they go into action, and Tajay just blows him up, knocks him on his ass.
He was a beast.
And he goes, oh my God. I said, yeah. I said, he can pass protect. It's on tape. You got to go back and look at it.
If I have it on film, I think I recorded I don't know if I got the running backs on the first day. I was so freaking stuck on the offensive line because the 49ers need offensive linemen, so I was glued to them. I might have missed the drills. He was on the American teams we were talking about, so they were the second part of the practice. And if I'm not mistaken, if it was that linebacker, it was the kid out of, what'd you say, Jackson
State? I forget what his name was off the top of my head right now. Give me a second.
I got it right here.
Aubrey Miller,
yeah.
Yeah, Aubrey Miller.
So, I mean, look, I know. So, as a 49ers fan base, we've been drafting running backs the past 2 seasons in the 3rd round. The 49ers currently have 3 third-round compensatory picks, which means that they're at the very end of the round. How likely will Tajay Spears? So, I did a mock draft. I do one every Monday, and I did a mock draft, and he was available. Was I wrong for drafting a running back that probably should have been going in the 2nd round?
So I think my projection, I have him going in the 4th to 5th.
Oh, and
the reason that is because you look at the running back position in just the running backs that are in this class.
There's some good ones.
Spears he's got talent.
Yeah.
He can do it all, but that size, a lot of people are going to hold that against him. I know that there's interest in the 3rd round. Okay. I don't know if he gets through it. If he does, I'm going ahead and saying 4th, 5th. I think he tests great. I think everything falls in place. But you're essentially, you just don't see guys that are typically that. What's the word I'm looking for?
He's tiny, so I get it.
That size, they don't go earlier, right? Unless they're just ungodly fast, which I don't think he's going to run a 4.240. I think he's going to probably be in the high. When I say high, I mean low. So 4.40, 4.42 range. I think that's about where he's going to be.
If this kid runs in the 4.3 range, automatic 3rd round pick?
Probably, yeah.
Because you're going to get use out of him on special teams right away. Right. And it's about him moving up the depth chart as a running back. If he can pass protect better than some of your running backs in camp, regardless of size. I'm trying to think of some of the let's go NFL. Let's think of some of those undersized. I'm trying to get his size right here. I'm just looking on this
5'9",
5'9", 204 is what he came in at on the thing.
Yeah, that's what he measured in at 5. So 5'9" and 5/8, which is, it's close. Mm-hmm. He'll be listed at 5'10" on an NFL roster.
Okay.
So he will be listed at 5'10", but he's not quite. Big hands, 10-inch hands. That's nice as a receiver, right?
That's a receiver.
So
these are some of the comparisons, right? So Darren Sproles, and I love this is what I love about the chat out here. They're just so on point, right? So whatever we can't figure out off the top of our dome, they already got the.
There's a better comp for Darren Sproles in this draft right now.
Okay,
which is it's the Kansas State running back.
Ooh,
Deuce Vaughn.
Yes,
Deuce Vaughn. And what's ironic is that's where Darren Sproles played was Kansas State, right? Back in the early 2000s. So. You watch Deuce Vaughn, he is the second coming. I mean, he could be a clone, honestly, of Darren Sproles. It's unbelievable.
Who would you comp then Tajay Spears to?
If I had to comp
5'10" guy.
I'm probably gonna go Dontrell Hilliard.
Okay.
But Hilliard is still floating around the NFL. He's with the Titans. I think he was with the Titans last year. I say that, and I see that more as a skill set, but he's faster than Dontrell ever was. He's quicker. He's
and
a better
I think
pass
he has
protector.
better hands too.
Yeah, no, he's a better version of Dontrell Hilliard, but it's the same sort of skill set, same sort of size. And then the other thing to point out that I have to really talk about with him that's very, very important is his one cut ability. It's very rare that you get a one cut as smooth as him, because people don't understand this about a one cut, Wayne. You got to be able to, when you take a one cut, people, they want to sit here and they want to dance, right? They want to sit there and dance in the hole, and they want to throw 3 jukes. And it's like, bro, you just need one to get that defender off. As soon as you hit that second step, you first step, bang, cut back, right? As soon as you hit that second step, bend, twist your body, around the defender, explode. That's a one cut. And that's what Tajay does better than anybody in this class, man. Nobody's better than him.
I just watching him live, it was just like, yo, how did I not watch? I'm a Big Ten guy, right? So I'm a Michigan fan, and I kind of watch Big Ten football until it's time for the bowl stuff, and then I have no choice but to watch SEC and some other teams, right? And so I'm a little biased towards Big Ten football, so I don't get to see this stuff. So as I'm there, I'm like, who? And you know, I'm a Blake Corum fan. I don't think he kind of has a little one cut ability. There was nothing like I saw from this kid Tajay Spears, and it was every time he touched the ball. I don't think he played that well in the game, but the practices, like, he was subpar, the best running back all week long.
And he got the award for it too. You know, it was team voted by the defenders that he was the best running back out there.
Okay.
The other thing that I do want to point out also is the 49ers running back coach, Bobby Turner.
Talk about it.
The Turner loves these one cut guys that are like this. So that's the key here, right? That's what we're talking about. Is the problem, I think, is Coach Turner usually likes him a little bit bigger. 5'11", 215. He's got this down to a science, and they got to have the one cut.
Okay.
Go look at the running backs that he's drafted over the last few years. They're all 5'11", 215.
Raheem Mostert was 5'10", so I wonder if he was like 5'9" and 1/8 inches.
Well, we could look this up.
I don't know how you can get to the decimals of it, but they got him listed. That's 5'10". I'm gonna look up Matt Breida as well, because I'm just thinking of those quick one cut guys. And what I was trying to explain to everybody was like, listen, I love Christian McCaffrey and everything that he does. Look, Matt Breida, 5'10". And again, 190. These are smaller guys. And I'm wondering,
Mostert, he measured in 5'10" and 3/8.
So he's definitely a 5'10". You're not pushing him up. So he's definitely a 5'10". Okay. So a little bit taller. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I'm just saying, with the one cut abilities that Tajay has, you very well may be able to go, okay, I think we're not so worried about the size. 49ers makes a lot of sense to me with Tajay.
I think that's the other than me falling in love with the kid, I think the reason why I drafted him is because when I look at the 49ers running backs, they have started to go to more of the power back setting of backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they still like the outside zone, but what happened to the inside, to the one cut, and then getting to the outside? We haven't seen that since Mostert left. And even though Christian McCaffrey can do it, he's more of a dancer. He's more of an elusive back. So he'll kind of dance, and when he makes the one cut, he doesn't have the same speed. So like there's been plenty of times he's been caught from behind. And so you're just like, dang, that's a home run play. And unfortunately, Christian McCaffrey just didn't have that breakaway speed to keep it as a home run. Whereas if you draft a kid like Tajay Spears, will he start? No. Would he be a change of pace? Yes. Can you utilize him in the pass protection, pass blocking, all that type? Yes. Can he catch out of the backfield? Yes. And can you imagine if he makes one person miss? That's it. It's almost like Deebo Samuel as a running back. I hate to say that. It's kind of like what it is. And he plays physical. That's another thing we forgot to talk about. He's a physical guy. Now, I don't want to stay stuck on Tajay Spears. Give me some of your other draft. Let's do your top 3 because we could have spent the whole show on Spears.
Yeah, no, it's easy. He's a super exciting guy. So if there's another one, it'd be Carl Brooks, I thought, out of Bowling Green, defense tackle. Now, again, another guy I came in loving.
Not me. Not I. I came in unprepared on purpose. I didn't want to come in with any biases toward any player whatsoever, except for my Michigan guys and anybody from the Big Ten. Those would have been kind of like my biases. I'm glad you mentioned Carl Brooks, and the reason why I brought him up is because somebody, I can't remember if I was on someone else's show, and they asked me, was there a defensive tackle that I liked? And I told them to look up Carl Brooks. I think it was on my man Rohan's show, and they asked me about him, and it was Carl Brooks. Go ahead and talk your talk, baby.
So the thing with Brooks is I came in thinking that he was really just a power guy, a guy that you're going to use inside 3 tech, and I think, I'm pretty sure you educate your people that watch the show, right, Wayne? So I think we understand what 3 techs are. So
they do.
Because sometimes that's the deal. I go on a show, I say 3 tech, and they go,
what's that?
All right, I'll explain it. But that'll save me a few minutes. But the thing with him is I thought he was a power 3 tech guy that you're going to use in a gap scheme, somebody like that. And what I kind of saw was he can play 2 gap.
Mm-hmm.
He's quick, and he's got hands all of a sudden. And I mean, the hands kind of started to pop toward the end there of his career. He had steady progression his entire career at Bowling Green. He got better every year with the stats.
Now you might have to explain the hand situation because people may not understand what you mean by the hand. So go ahead.
Okay, so when you attack, when you come off the line of scrimmage, the most important thing is your first step. The second most important thing coming off your first step is using your hands to win leverage, right? So when you've got an offensive lineman, he's going to attack you. What he's going to really try to do is he's going to try to grab you inside your shoulders, right? And kind of get your shoulder pads. And when he gets his hands there, you're done as a defender. You're done. Okay. Now that's a whole nother part of the scouting side of things. When you're looking at guys, you're looking at hand placement. How quick do they get their hands there? Are they good at working through hand strength, different things like that? But when you're talking about Brooks, he's a guy that he's got the strength and the quickness when he comes off that first step. He's got the power to knock hands away, win the leverage battle, use his body to twist and contort, get through the gap, get in the backfield. And so I didn't see that a lot when he was at Bowling Green. A lot of that was the scheme, the way that they designed it for him there. But when I saw him at the Senior Bowl, he's got hands all of a sudden. Like he's winning these reps. He's getting past people. He's winning the leverage battles. He's using his size and his athletic ability to create those opportunities to penetrate. And it wasn't just in one-on-one drills, it was team drills. It was it felt like every snap he was on the field, you knew it because he made his presence known. And I'm shocked that he didn't get a combine invite. It's just like Eric Johnson last year out of Missouri State. I went down to the combine and I'm talking to different scouts and different people, and everybody mentioned Eric Johnson. Why isn't he here? This year, Carl Brooks is going to be that guy. When we go to the combine, we're talking to people. Everybody's going to be like, well, why is Carl Brooks not here?
So if a player doesn't make it to their combine, if the player doesn't get invited to the combine, then it comes down to their pro day.
Yes. And Eric Johnson, he came out of Missouri State, last year. Got drafted by the Colts, and he became a rotational defender. It doesn't mean that just because you don't go to the combine doesn't mean that you're not going to get drafted or you potentially don't get drafted high. Brooks right now looks like he might not be there for the 49ers. I hate to say it. He might come off the board before they get the pick unless they trade up for him.
Unless they trade up. Okay. Very good insight. And then give me your third guy that stood out to you at the Senior Bowl. Doesn't have to be the 49ers. Any guy. We're going to break.
I have to go Cody Mock, man. Cody Mock.
Damn it. I can cuss now. We 40 minutes in. Cody Mock. He's my favorite offensive lineman. He was probably the best guy to talk to. Greatest interview I had. Go ahead and talk. Cody.
No, so the thing with Cody, I ran into him. I think he was going to the bus and I was going to the elevator to go up to the second floor in the Renaissance and walk into the parking garage. And he was walking past me. He was like, we were walking step for step. And I'm 5'6", Wayne. I'm not a big guy. All right, I'm tiny.
I'm 2 inches taller, bro. Don't feel bad.
I looked up at him. And I was like, God. I was like, Cody. I was like, could you just make me feel any smaller? And he just started laughing.
With
You
the
know,
no
but he's toothless grin. You know, he's missing both his two front teeth. He's got the long red hair. I mean, he looks like a freaking like a Viking god.
Yeah. That was it.
It's awesome. And but no, he's great, awesome. In like he's gonna be able to play anywhere on the offensive line.
Yeah.
He played left tackle when he was at North Dakota State. Well, actually, he started at right, moved to left. He spent some time at guard there as well. He could do it all. He played all 5 positions at the Senior Bowl. He practiced at all 5.
Dude, they had him
really strong, athletic. It feels like every year the Senior Bowl, you know, really ever since Jim Nagy took over as the director, he finds one of these these small school offensive linemen with the body types that just have the winnable personalities, and they just go in there and they just steal the show. It's every year at the Senior Bowl there's one of these guys, and this year it was Cody. So
all right. And I like that you brought him up. I've been talking about Cody Mauch on the show. So 49er fans are pretty much used to who he is. They can tell that that's my draft crush, because I know we need an offensive lineman. Like, you know, when I look at how we lost to the Philadelphia Eagles or any of the games. I mean, you can say, yeah, we didn't have our quarterback. That's the main reason. But man, the trenches were bad. Like, and I've never seen the trenches get pushed around on the defensive side and not be able to hold up on the offensive side. So we also lost right tackle. We're going to be losing right tackle Mike McGlinchey, possibly to free agency, as well as our center Jake Brindle. So when we come back into the season, dude, we need a center and we need a right tackle. So the exercise that I would like to do for you from the offensive perspective, those are the 2 things that we are dire need of. We do have people that are there that are probably going to be bumped up, like Colton McKivitz or whatever, Jalen Moore. They'll probably battle it out for the right tackle spot. But draft wise, 49ers don't draft technically to pick 99 or something, 100 and whatever. Whenever them numbers get released, it's up there. It's at the end. If we don't trade up, like, who are some of those prospects that you feel that can fulfill a void? Maybe not start day one, but definitely be on their way.
Yeah, so right tackle, first guy that kind of comes to mind that would fit the scheme. He played at the Shrine Bowl, and he's not a name that a lot of people are very familiar with right now. In fact, I'm still getting familiar with him, and I've got a good feel for where he is right now. I'll probably have a report out next couple of days on him. I'm pulling up his name because it's a little different. So Colby Sorstal. He's an offensive tackle at a William and Mary, and I think he's got a good shot at getting drafted. He had a pretty good week.
Spell that for me.
Sorsdal. Colby Sorstal.
Sorsdal. Colby, Coulby.
Coulby. Yep. And he's out of William and Mary. He was the first freshman tackle or offensive lineman to start, I think they said, since 1982. He's a 5-year starter at William and Mary. And he's got a great body. He looks like he held up pretty well for the most part. Now, the interesting thing is his technique. He's not your typical the other thing to point out, sorry. He all 5 years right tackle. So he's got 40 plus starts in his career at right tackle. His technique is a little interesting where when he goes into pass protection, he doesn't anchor plant like you see a lot of guys do. He slides.
Okay.
So I think that's something that kind of fits really well with what San Francisco likes because he'll slide outside. He's got the lateral quickness to do it.
Good.
As a run blocker, he didn't look bad either. And he gets down. He's athletic. He's only 300 pounds at 6'5", almost 6'6". So he gets down low enough. He slides really well. He's got good athletic ability. He looks like he might get pushed up just because I think there's going to be a lot of tackles that come off the board. And they'll be in the second, third round. There'll be a ton of them that come off. So I think that he could get pushed up with need, but he's probably right there in the 4th, 5th round range. He would make a lot of sense.
Okay.
At center, I'm trying to think of a good center for you guys.
Now you know Kyle likes those centers to be mobile. Run blocking should be number one. Pass blocking probably secondary. This year we went pass blocking over the run blocking, and it kind of our run game. It took a hit. It took a hit until we got Christian McCaffrey, who had to make things happen. So I think they want to get back into that.
See, the perfect fit would be John Michael Schmitz, but I don't think he's going to be there.
Okay,
he's out of Minnesota. So if I had to go with a number 2, I'm going to probably go Ricky Stromberg out of Arkansas. He also, I believe, did the Shrine Bowl this year. He's right there in the 6'3", 315 range, strong run blocker, decently athletic, 4-year starter at Arkansas. He looks like he holds up pretty decently well. He gets down, he attacks really well. I like his lean. I thought his hand strength was really good. And
Stromberg, STORM.
Yeah, Stromberg, STROMBERG. Ricky Stromberg. I like him a lot. And I think he would probably be a decent fit. He'll probably be right there in the beginning of the 4th round. He'd probably be right there, I'd imagine. So,
all right. So let's talk about these were seniors, but why not the invite to the Senior Bowl? Why the Shrine Bowl?
So there's a lot of different stuff that's going on, with all-star games right now, with the politics and that kind of side of it. So there's to put it bluntly, there's the all-star games are having to pay people to come now if they want them.
Oh gosh, dang.
So yeah, there are several guys that took money to go to the Shrine Bowl. I think that the two that I don't know if Stromberg or Sorsdal got paid. But there is a conscious effort that, the Shrine Bowl is trying to compete with the Senior Bowl, and they're going after, the top tier talent as well. They're trying to compete. And so I think that these were just two guys that picked the Shrine for whatever reason, whatever the reasons were, they picked that over the Senior. Okay. And I think over the next few years, you're going to start to see that a lot more often with teams picking, players picking the Shrine Bowl over the Senior Bowl.
Okay. And it's kind of cool because now players are able to get, paid from the, what are they called? And I don't know what they call it, but the players can get paid now in college or their little endorsement things. And so now they're
NIL.
NIL, that's what it is. And now they're able to kind of like pick the bowl that they want to go to depending on that check. So I can kind of dig that. Let's flip it to the defensive side. All right. And so defensive tackle, I would say safety, edge, and I guess you can say linebacker, but that would probably be depending on who falls where on the draft board. I would say defensive tackle, edge rusher, safety would probably be the main 3 areas for the 49ers. Who do you have for prospects starting at that pick 99?
Okay. So if I'm going to start there, I think that the way that John Lynch likes to build, which I actually have a John Lynch story, believe it or not.
Please share the story. You got it. You got time.
I'll start there. So I was sitting there at this Senior Bowl 2020. So this is right before COVID. Javon Kinlaw, all that. Yeah. But I'm sitting there, and the 3rd day of practice got moved to the indoor facility at South Alabama and was closed to the public. And so I wasn't going to be able to go. I ended up walking. There's a hotel 3 or 4 blocks down from the Renaissance. A very fancy hotel. It's got a really nice cafe downstairs on the street level. And so I went in there to watch the practice, basically. And it was dead empty. There was nobody in there. It was probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this fellow walked up. And I was sitting there trying to play some. And you know how it is when you get down there just to Mobile, man. And you're seeing so many football people. There's so many faces. And they all start to blend together, and you start to forget who's who. And unless they just, like you really like them or whatever, if they're Charles Davis or somebody like that, you remember their face. But this guy, I was really struggling to remember. And I could tell that he knew that I was trying to figure out who he was. And so rather than just sit there in that awkward silence where, you're sitting there, what do you do kind of thing, I went, hey, I'm so sorry, man. I said, I know I've seen you somewhere. I'm just trying to place you. I'm so sorry. And he said, "Yeah, I'm John Lynch." I went, "Oh, snap!" And that was the year you guys were in the Super Bowl. So you're a week out from playing against Kansas City. I told him, I said, "Man, watching that team this year was awesome. Like it was a lot of fun to watch the way that put together." And I said, and then it all started back in 2017. Man, I loved what you did to Chicago. And he started laughing. Like because
heck yeah,
please,
please.
that was straight hustling, man. So like that was.
I mean, those picks didn't work out for us, but neither did Chicago pick. Like,
no,
you know what I mean?
No.
But hey, it is what it is.
No. But it was fun. He was a really good dude to just sit there and chat with. He was just waiting for some food. That's my John Lynch story, where I was just I couldn't remember who he was. He was so nice.
So you really didn't know who he was? Like, you were dead ass serious?
I couldn't remember. Like, I knew I'd seen him somewhere.
That's cool. That's so cool.
Like, I knew I had seen him somewhere, and I could not place it. And it was day 3, the practice, man. Like,
that's
you've been out there. Dan Marino's walking by you. John Elway's walking by you. Like I said, those faces, they all start to blend together.
That's
and
so
you start
cool,
to go, man. I can't remember. But yeah, no. He was very nice. I have a ton of respect for him, not just because of that, obviously, but because of what he's done. I mean, being able to play safety at a high level in the NFL, and then go into the broadcast booth, and then go straight from the broadcast booth to a general manager, and you've been to 2 Super Bowls. Are you kidding me? I think it was 2, right? I got that right. Or is it 1?
No, you got it. You got it dead right.
Okay,
you're on point.
So that's my point. Is he's done a great job. Like what he has done up there has been phenomenal.
I think the faithful have grown fond of having John Lynch. I think they didn't want to give him any of the growing pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like I said, his first draft, he fleeced Chicago, ended up with 2 first-round picks, ended up drafting Solomon Thomas and make a Reuben Foster, and they didn't pan out or whatnot. But like, look what he's done since then, and then look at the late round picks that have blossomed into like multi-year contract players for the 49ers, and how many all pros then we ended up with. So like, you're right, John Lynch, when you got first round picks, you want to try to get the best talent on your team, I think, as possible, because you want to go from losing to winning. But yeah, I agree with you. So being that you talked about John Lynch, the one thing he's kept it consistent with is building in the trenches. Mm-hmm. And we did the offensive side, and he usually loves the defensive side. And 9 times out of 10, he's going to pick a defensive player with the first pick. The only thing is, it's not a first round pick. It's not a second round pick. It's a 3rd round compensatory pick, late pick number 99 in that area. Who is on the radar? Who do you think will be on the radar for the 49ers?
My first debate was, do you go defensive end or do you go defensive tackle? Because I think.
So please explain which way you would go to the faithful. Because I know me.
If it's me,
yeah,
I'm going defensive tackle.
I swear to God. Can you please tell everybody we did not have a prep show before this show?
No prep show. Nothing.
I've been trying to tell. Now explain why Mr. Vogel will go defensive tackle over the edge.
So I know that I have Nick Bosa, and I know that I have Drake Jackson. Now, Drake Jackson, I just drafted in the 2nd round last year. He's an athletic monster. He went in the 2nd round for a reason. He's a guy who could have gone in the late 1st. He had that type of grade with some teams. So when I look at Jackson, I go, I've got an immediate guy that I can fill in as a starter. There might be some growing pains next year in the early part of the season, but it's a guy that I drafted to step up and be ready to start year 2. So I'm going to move Drake out of a backup role, and I'm going to pencil him in as my starter, which means I still have Javon Kinlaw and Arik Armstead, but I got depth that I need behind them. I'm going to need depth at defensive end too, but I can go with a veteran. I can get a cheap veteran. I can pay him $4 or $5 million to come in for this year, maybe a few million next year too. And there's my depth at defensive end. Now I got a little bit of a rotation. I'm going to worry about defensive end in the draft later, right? So now I'm going to go defensive tackle because I want to keep my rotation consistent, and I'm going to probably go. I'm going to try to see if I get one of the youngs available, and I say youngs. I'm not talking about Bryce.
Are you talking about Byron Young from Alabama or Byron Young from Tennessee?
So maybe not the Byron Young from Tennessee, because he's a little too slim.
Yeah, he's the edge.
Yeah, but Byron from Alabama or Cameron Young from Mississippi State.
Young.
Yeah. Both of these guys were at the Senior Bowl. And they're both in that sort of weird range where Byron could probably play 3-4 defensive end, so he can slide out as a 5 tech at times, but you really want to keep him at a 3. Okay, so I like Byron in that spot. Cameron is going to be strictly a 3 tech, I think. I don't think that he's going to move outside of that. But I like Byron, and I think Byron, there's a really good chance that he's there. Championship pedigree. He's a pro. He handles himself really well. I talked to him over there at the Senior Bowl too, and he handles himself very, very well. And so I know he's a pro. I know I can put him in, and I know that he's going to be able to play 20, 30 snaps a game from the get-go. So I'm going to go that way, and I'm going to worry about defensive end probably in like the 4th or maybe even the 5th round. This is a very deep class at defensive end.
Defensive ends. Thank you, sir.
There's not a lot of defensive tackles. So get that done early.
Got to give you the check.
And then carry on.
I got to give it to you again just because, man, like you are speaking, like you're just confirming so much. Like I'm new. Okay. You've been doing this for 6 years. You could say scouting. This is my first year in scouting and I'm soaking it all in and I'm all over the mother freaking place. Okay. And so I don't know what to pencil in on and I'm learning as I go along. So I'm going to have some bumps and bruises. I'm like the John Lynch of scouts right now. But when I do point out something, I know exactly what I'm looking for. It's all eye test. I go back to the film. I watch the film and I'm like, yes, that fits. That's it. Dude, I actually like both Byron Youngs. I talked to the Alabama one as well. Didn't get a chance to talk to the one from Tennessee. He's more of an edge. I don't think he'll be there in the 4th round, but there's a possibility because there are so many edge rushers that you can put like that are going to be available rounds 4, even into early round 5. I think it's if you want those top tier ones, right? Unless you want guys that are like projects. Speaking of that, there was a question for you. They want to know if there are any other I hate to use the word freak, but if there are any other freakish, guys that stand out like a Drake Jackson at the edge rushing position.
So I don't know if he'd be a great fit for San Francisco, because he's more of a 3-4 stand-up edge rusher, so a guy that you're going to play outside. Now, that's the other thing, right? I'm going to bring this up. The reason that the 49ers got kicked by the Eagles, and that is I'm going to put my head in front of my Eagles clock so you can't see it anymore.
Okay, you got permission.
So
we need to know why we got our ass whipped.
So a lot of it had to do with 5-man front. And this is what Philadelphia did most of the year, okay? Because what you're basically doing is you're creating – it's like a 4-man front, right? So it's a 4 defensive linemen, 2 edges, and 2 defensive tackles. And you have a guy like Hassan Reddick that you can bring down and you can play as a stand-up. You can drop him in the coverage. You can do all that different stuff, right? So Reddick was the X factor, and you saw that. He made it was 2 sacks, right? 2 sacks, a forced fumble. You could say he hurt Purdy. He probably did.
He did hurt Purdy.
I don't think it was intentional, but, that's still up for debate too. Now Reddick was like that all year. Yeah, bear front. Exactly. Nailed it. That's exactly what it's called. It's called a bear front, or some people also just describe it as dog. Okay.
Dog. Yep.
So 5-1 dog, because you're going to play 1 linebacker back and you're going to go into your nickel. So if San Francisco wants to incorporate some of that with their defense, which I think a lot of defenses next year are going to really start to ramp up, they're looking for their Hassan Reddicks essentially. You could potentially have a bunch of 3-4 stand-ups that can drop and do that different stuff. So the guy that kind of stands out on that as a freakish athlete is Nick Herbig. He's a 3-4 edge rusher out of Wisconsin. Ironically, think about the players Wisconsin has, put out into the NFL. JJ, TJ Watt, edge rushers, stand-up freak athletes. Herbig played that role, the role that TJ played in the Wisconsin defense with Leonard. So I like Herbig. I think that Herbig showed enough promise in coverage where you can drop him. He's got a little bit of a backdrop to him. He can play the zones and stuff.
That's important.
So I like him there. I don't know how high he goes because, again, this is another we're not just loaded to defensive end right now, man. We're loaded. 3-4 edge rushers are loaded too, right?
They're loaded, bro. I know
there's only like 4 or 5 teams right now that are running 3-man fronts, So when you're looking at that, this is a guy that potentially does sneak all the way down the board. He just slides, because people are looking at him going, where does he fit? I look at him, I go, he's light enough where I think I could play him in that Reddick role. And so he's a guy that I like.
I think this year's Senior Bowl Reddick is the kid out of Iowa State.
McDonald?
Yeah, William McDonald the fourth.
Yeah, he's interesting.
Because he plays, he's the outside linebacker, but he's the edge rusher. They were in a 3-4 as well. I feel like he can stand up, he can line up split outside. I think he has the speed. He definitely has the length. That kid, you want to talk about tall? I was like, damn. Like, you know what I mean? It looks like he had the strength. I think he played fairly well in the actual game. I thought he had really good practices. Just your quick thoughts on McDonald.
Well, it's not my thoughts. It's Coach Campbell's thoughts over there at Iowa State. He says that he's lead athlete who can do backflips standing still.
What?
That's what he says.
That's a freak.
All of that along with
Sorry.
he is he can do backflips. I'm quoting Coach Campbell. He can do backflips standing still and has videos jumping over cars.
Damn.
All of that along with sacking the quarterback. And so yeah, he was on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. So he is a freak.
They asked about freak. The question was, who's a freakish guy? You know, and so I know. Sim says, does he have the ability to get off blocks though?
That's kind of my concern with him.
Okay.
That is my concern with him. I don't see that a lot. And I don't think his production was there either. I'm gonna double check myself to make sure I'm tracking that correctly.
Yeah, I mean,
over the season,
I think what did he have? Like, I can't remember the numbers, the amount of sacks he had. As far as that, but if he's more of a disruptor, opposed to like creating the pressure, opposed to actually getting the sacks, like year 1, year 2, very developmental. I feel like the kid, if he has that type of athleticism, he could develop into Hassan, like a type of a Hassan Reddick, like because I don't remember Reddick always being that elite pass rushing Reddick. I mean, he was always a monster, but he definitely turned up once he got to a team full of defensive linemen. Rotation was crazy. I mean, Philly was his best bet. I mean, and when you're only getting paid what, $3 million a year, you're betting on yourself. You typically show up and show out. It's kind of like
16 sacks later. Yeah, no problem. No, so he produced the first couple years as a starter.
Okay.
He had 10.5 and 11.5 sacks in 20 and 21.
Mm-hmm.
And then the drop off this year, he only had 5. And he very well may have played through an injury this year. I'm not entirely sure. He's not a guy that I have my complete report done on yet, but like I am worried about him getting off.
Okay.
I am worried about that. So, but no, I could see him. I think that you're talking, that wasn't something I'd really considered. I'm going to go back and look at that and think about him in that role too, because he might very well fit that.
I mean, like I said, I mean, for me, for Reddick clearly has speed. And so on the play, like on that play, you're an Eagles fan? Okay. So on that play, I've never seen a defensive edge line up that far outside. Like that was
called a 9 tech.
That was way outside. Like there's nobody there. I think it confused the hell out of Tyler Kroft to where it was so far out. Kroft was like, "Who the fuck am I supposed to? What's going on here?" And so I wish there was some type of not trickery, but some shifting on the line. Maybe Kittle shouldn't have went out for a pass and came in motion and went that way, and one was off the line, one was on line with the Titans. I don't know. All I know was that I think Kroft was so confused because of Reddick's alignment. He touched him, and it was just not enough. It was just, I still think Purdy could have stepped up a little bit and helped himself out, but Reddick got to him. He used his speed and his ability to rip and get around, and he was able to get to the arm or the elbow of Brock, which I don't even know if Brock's going to be able to play this year, which is crazy. I know that they say he is, but it's just something sounds fishy about this injury.
Yeah, we really don't know. And this is it's not an injury that we have a lot of precedent on in football. It's a baseball injury,
Correct.
So it's even a little bit different to baseball because you're not taking contact in baseball. When you
Correct.
suffer this type of injury, it's typically not. It's not based on your contact. So it may be something even beyond what a lot of doctors have seen at this point too, because you're talking about a baseball injury normally that's caused by motion, and this was caused by force.
Contact. Yep.
So I'm not a doctor. I can only speculate based on what I know, and I don't know a lot. So I think that you're onto something, that there is something really, there's a lot more to it.
I have to ask you about this last player before, we wrap this up. All right. And he caught my eye. I happened to be sitting, this was probably maybe on the Wednesday or the Thursday, but maybe Thursday, because I was sitting at the far right where the linemen, they rotated where the players went. But I wanted to focus on the linemen. And so I was watching this edge rusher, and I just was overhearing somebody's conversation, and I'm not saying his name because I'm not jacking it up, but Symmetry brought it up. This particular kid, where is he out of?
Northwestern.
And he looked fierce. So I just want to get your thoughts on, if you know how to pronounce his name, be my guest, but I'm not messing it up. Not on today.
I don't know how to say his name either.
Okay, so
and I apologize. I met him. He's a very nice guy.
Yep.
So when I sat there and I talked to him, because I don't do a lot of recording when I'm there talking to them. I think that there were so many people there, it was very hard to get the type of conversation flowing with guys that I really wanted.
That's a fact.
Like if you go look at the interviews and the different things that I do with players, it's not like your typical interviews. It's like you and me sitting here talking right now. That's the kind of conversations that I'm having with players a lot. And you really can't do that very often there. And so you're trying to abbreviate as much as you can. And I caught him walking through the hotel at one point, and we just kind of started talking and stuff. And so I said, hey, when you're going into a rep, what is your plan? He goes, get to the quarterback. I said, yeah. I said, but what do you think? Like, how many plays? Like, what are you doing? What's the plan? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, how many plays ahead are you right now? How many plays ahead are you thinking? He goes, oh, I'm focused on this play right now. And I'm like, no, dude, no. I said, look, pass rushing is just like playing chess. You got to be 4 or 5 moves ahead. You got to set this motherfucker up.
Damn.
Okay. Because that's the thing is, I said, you got the speed, you got the length. You can go power, you can go speed to power outside. You beat him outside one time. Now he's worried about you getting back. Right. Okay. He's got to get back into his drop. As soon as you get him on his heels like that, trying to get there faster than you, side swipe, inside counter. Bam. I said, now he's yours all day. And I said, and you do that by thinking 3, 4, 5 plays ahead and setting them up for it. I said, that's what you got to start thinking about. That's the difference between a rookie and a pro. And so he was like, oh, man, I never thought about that. That's the thing. I do not understand why we have college coaches that do not teach this type of stuff. You should be learning this in high school, but people, they're so focused on winning and all that different shit. I mean, that's the whole point of the game, but it's like you set these dudes up to be more successful by winning. By teaching them these deep fundamentals. The winning comes with that.
Correct.
But the thing with him is he's got a crazy, crazy frame. And what I mean by frame is he's got a body type, right? So he measured in at crazy
6'1", 284.
So that doesn't sound big, but
no, not for a lineman.
Yeah, it's the rest of his frame. That's what I'm pulling up right now over here.
So all right,
his arms are 34 inches long.
So there's the measurables that we need. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got an 82 inch wingspan, 34 inch arms, God. 10 7/8, so almost 11-inch hands. So we're talking about a guy that's 6'1", 280, who has the wingspan of a guy that's 6'6".
Damn.
That's what we're talking about right here. And so that's what makes him so interesting.
So will he test well is the question. And then he does, do those extra attributes help boost him up a little bit if he doesn't have that mindset? Because if if I was a team and I was looking for a rotational player that I could build off of him, this is the guy. But he doesn't sound like a guy who's ready to go, that can plug and play right now and get you the production or the output that you need from him as of right now, because he's still learning the game. He's still learning that the fundamental stuff that you just mentioned to me.
I think with him, you're gonna bet on his frame. And it's literally his frame. I mean, you can't teach that kind of length, man. That you can't create that. That's straight out of a lab.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like somebody created this guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not really, but
it's
we're talking figuratively.
LeBron James was created in a lab. I don't care what anybody says. It was made in a lab. I'm sorry.
I'm using that one. I hadn't heard that one yet. I like that. I'm using that. But no, so no, you can't teach that kind of length. When you're trying to get a guy to go outside, when you're running your speed rush and you're creating that separation, he's got the size, first off, that where he can dip under a 6'5" guy. I talk about this kind of stuff a lot. I like a guy like him.
Okay.
And I think I like him as a changeup in my rotation. I'm gonna put my 6'5", Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, that type out there. And we're talking about the Northwestern guy.
Adebayor. I got the pronunciation.
Adebayor.
Adebayor.
Adebayor. Okay.
Yeah. The Y W is like a Y sound.
So with him, when you got a guy, I think the biggest problem that you have when you have a 6'7", 6'8" tackle that you're worried about is, can he get low enough? Because winning at the line of scrimmage is leverage. It's all about leverage.
All right. So Aaron Donald, probably the best to do it. Smaller guy, still strong, but he gets underneath. That's what makes him win. Leverage.
Hit that in his hands, right?
In his hands. Thank you. Violent.
You look at him doing his workout videos, and he's hand fighting with somebody with knives, and he's not getting stabbed.
Well, Javon Kinlaw did the same thing, and I please don't find that shit out there. I know I posted it. Please don't find it and resurface it and tag me in it. Please don't. But Kinlaw did the same thing, but his size is just different.
Yeah, he's 6'5". That's the difference. Aaron Donald's 6 foot. And so what you're looking at with the Northwestern guy here is, I got speed to run an outside rush. Okay, so I can go speed to power outside. Now, I'm 4 inches smaller than he's 4 inches smaller than the average offensive tackle in the NFL. So he's creating that 6'5", that advantage we're talking about was the 6'7", 6'8" tackle that you're worried about. He's creating that with the average offensive tackle in the NFL.
Understood. I understand it. They'll understand it.
That's what I like.
Right. 420 Savage, you my guy. Ain't no way in hell that this man is overrated. Look, he's been the best defensive player in the league for the past 4 years, 3 to 4 years. He's won defensive player of at least the past
Twice.
2 years.
Yep.
There's no way you could tell me that he's overrated. He's a great player. I might not like him because he plays for the Rams, but as a player, he's phenomenal. Would love to have him on the show at some point. I just wanted to read you this comment, and this is a thank you from Peachy Brown. It doesn't show up here for some reason, but it is on my feed. She says, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us today, John. Should have known you were from Tennessee. That's where she's from. Looking forward to watching me on your platform. It's going to be pretty fun. Just don't ask me no hard-ass questions. You're way advanced when it comes to this draft stuff. I just want to have fun. Just have me on.
We'll have fun. We'll have fun with it. We'll talk about you and what you've done, man. Because
appreciate
and
that.
yeah, and thank Peachy Brown. Thank her.
Yeah, she
definitely set this up.
Yes, she did. And she's amazing. And I truly appreciate and love her. Thank you, Peachy. I do want to ask you a couple of questions, and then we'll get out of here about your Eagles. A lot of players probably won't be back. Which player is it going to be so hard to say goodbye to?
James Bradbury.
Really? The holding? No, I'm just playing. I'm not. First of all, I just want you to know that I was rooting for y'all. I was at the game, so I don't know if you went to the game, but I was there, and then I got I had to take my losing ass on an airplane early that morning to Alabama. I mean, you want to talk about dedication to this football shit? Like, I lost. My team lost. Your fans in Philly are trash. It's just what it is. You're not.
They are.
They are.
They are. They are.
They are. And it was tough. I couldn't go to eat. Ruby Tuesday. The Ruby Tuesday fans were terrible. Like, come on. Like, y'all whipped our ass. It is what it is. I'm not crying spilled milk over it. Y'all won. So I told you, I said, listen, I'm rooting for y'all. Please just beat Patrick Mahomes. Like, I knew they were going to go. Please.
Was it more so beating Patrick Mahomes, or was it beat Jackson and Brittany Mahomes?
It's probably beat Jackson and the Moms.
I think,
I think that's what makes Patrick Mahomes bad. It's fucking.
Otherwise, we would love him. He'd be, well, we don't love Brett Favre anymore, but
Yeah, but I think I get it. Like that his motherfucking leeching ass brother just leeching. I mean, and I get he's a young kid, but damn, man. Anyway, I'm not mad, but so it's James Bradbury. I didn't think you would say that. Like, so I'm a Michigan fan. I like Brandon Graham. You think he'll be back? He's older.
I think he's got 1 year.
1 year.
I think he's got 1 year. He'll come back on a 1 year deal.
49ers need a defensive tackle. Is Hargrave going to be available?
Maybe. He might. I don't know.
I'm surprised you didn't pick him.
No, it's James, because James completed that secondary.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he was an all-pro. Let's keep it a buck. He was an all-pro.
James Bradbury is the best cornerback 2 in the NFL. I mean, as long as you got a solid one, you put him on the number 2 wide receiver, you let him play the Z the entire game, he is awesome. And he does a really great job at that. As soon as you try to slide him into a 1, that's when you start having matchup issues with him. And I think it's because he's probably if you had to rank all the corners from 1 to 45, 50, he's probably right there in that 25 to 30 range.
Okay.
So when you got a guy like Slay on one side and you can put him on the other,
all pro,
it's awesome.
Now,
it's awesome.
Your thoughts on the comments by Deebo Samuel? I'm sure you heard, right?
Oh
yeah. Just your thoughts on his comments, because was Deebo sour, or was he kind of like talking the truth? Because I thought Bradbury had a pretty damn solid game or two. He just happened to just get a small little hold. It was tiny. It was literally tiny, but they called it.
Yeah, and it wasn't consistent with the rest of the game, right?
Facts.
If we're talking about the Deebo quarterback comments, is that what we're talking about?
About the Deebo Samuel and the all-pro secondary of yours. He didn't respect Bradbury, but he gave hella respect to Darius Slay. And so this was on I Am Athlete, and they asked him, well, why is Bradbury all pro? And he was like, because of the defensive line.
It's kind of facts, but it's a little. I mean, James is a good player too, right? And I just kind of explained it too, right? Where I said,
you did. You absolutely
he's
did.
not a corner 1, right? He's not a corner 1.
I think maybe that's where Deebo was alluding to. He didn't say
that. And Deebo didn't explain it the same way I did. He just said, "Oh, it's the defensive line." Well, I mean, the defensive line had a lot to do with it, because when you got 4 double-digit sack players on the same defensive line, that kind of does have something to do with the entire the entire defense playing well. But
I think I really love your explanation on it. So a lot of 49er fans are saying, BA had Bradbury toasted. I mean, it's a number 1 on a number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, and yeah,
it's like AJ Brown toasting Deommodore Lenoir. Like you know what I mean? Who's our number 2? Like it's gonna happen when you put a number 1 on him. So I kind of like this. I like this, man. This is pretty cool, man. And listen, man, I appreciate you for being able to jump on here, take some time out of your busy day. I know you got the combine coming up. It's an important date, guys. February 28th to March 7th, March 5th, something like that. It's coming up very soon. So I think
next week. I think it's up until Sunday. I think it's the 5th.
Yeah. So
I have to peel out early, unfortunately, which is going to suck, because they used to have the offensive players would be early, and now it's the defensive players are early. So, oh well.
So you definitely don't want to miss the defensive players.
I'm be there for defense.
Oh, hell
That's
yeah.
what I'm be there for.
You got to be there for defense, guys. Please, in the comment section, if there's moderators out there and there's something like super like bad, please just block them. I don't have time. I'm paying attention to my guest. All right, let everybody know where they can go to find you. Listen, I put his link tree. Okay, shout out to John with the link tree, because that is the key. Like he put me on. Link tree is everything, because you click on a link and all the other links are there for you to click on. So shout out to you, but just let everybody know where you want to be followed the most. I have your Twitter here. Is that your Twitter?
That's why I went by his Twitter. It's what I use the most. I had to get into Instagram when I got into the player management side of stuff. So I have that now too. That's Draft J Vogel. But yeah, Twitter is where most of my content goes. At Draft Vogel. And then you could read all my work at NFLDraftBlitz.com. We've got a ton of stuff that just gets pumped out every day over there. In terms of scouting reports, my mock draft came out last week along with my top 100 board pre-combine type stuff. We'll have another mock draft post-combine. And then once we get through the pro days, my final big board will drop. That'll probably be 350, 400 deep. And then we'll take it from there. And we'll have one more mock draft.
Do you do any type of like draft guides and things that people can pay for?
Yeah, so I actually have a draft. It's not a formal. It's a OneNote document. It's all access to all my notes. It's I think $8 is what I'm charging for it right now.
All right, let me know. Shoot me that link, and I'll go ahead and post it up here, man. I'll get it up here on the channel and let everybody know where they could draft it. Very good, well insight. And here's what I love about you the most: you take it to the extra mile. You always go the extra mile, because I have to ask you about the HBCU combine and which players stood out to you. And then the bowl is this weekend. And so give me your top players that you feel are going to make an impact in the NFL draft this year.
Yeah. So at the HBC Legacy Bowl right now, Xavier Smith's the best player there. I think hands down. I had the chance to sit down with him last week. He is an awesome dude. You want to just talk about a ray of positivity, like just awesome
wide
dude.
Receiver. Compare him to, I'm trying to think who the top wide receiver at the Senior Bowl. I was kind of going with the kid from Houston,
Tank
Dell. He didn't play or do his last practice, but he had a phenomenal practice. So
he's kind of like that. I'm trying to think of a better NFL comp.
Okay.
Because he's smaller. He's right there, and then he measured in at 5'9", I want to say, and a half. He came in at 174, so that's pretty good. Considering all things, I think you're worried about him limited to the slot. I think that's the concern. I don't know if he can play on the boundary, but he's a hell of a route runner.
And you're talking about
Florida A&M.
Yeah.
No, Florida A&M, Xavier Smith.
So he's more of a route running slot guy at this point.
And he's got speed too. He ran a 4.38.
All right.
Yep, he ran a 4.38 at the HBCU combine. So I think he's one of the better guys that's down there. I thought Andrew Pryor had I think that's his name.
Joshua Pryor.
I'm sorry. I got him mixed up with Andrew Farmer, who is also pretty good. I don't know if Farmer gets drafted, but Pryor is a guy that looks really good. Edge rusher. Yep. He's got some speed, looked really good in athletic drills. I really like Ronnie Thomas.
Okay.
Out of Mississippi Valley State. I don't know if he gets drafted. I honestly don't know.
School, y'all. Just Jerry Rice school. Just
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Jerry Rice's school.
But I talked to Ronnie last month, and again, another just super grateful guy. He did his dues. He played in Mississippi JUCO before he was at Mississippi Valley State. So he's just so grateful to have any opportunity to play professionally. And I think he's undersized. He played defensive end, but he's 5'9". And so he measured in at 5'9" at the HBCU combine, 240 something, I think.
All right.
So
one guy I got to ask you about, and then I'm going to let you go, I promise. Linebacker or edge, Isaiah Land.
Yes. So the question with him is, where do you play him?
Yeah, that's okay.
Now, I think what we kind of saw this year is I had the same question about James Houston coming out of Jackson State last year. And Detroit took him as an undrafted free agent, and he didn't play the first 8, 9, 10 games. And then he came in, I think it was Thanksgiving, and 2 sacks. Just like that. He ended up playing 6 games last year. He had 8 sacks.
Talent is talent, bro.
That's insane. That's not like that's unprecedented type numbers. Nobody's ever come in their first 6 games and had 8 sacks. Has never happened. Okay, I can guarantee you. So I think that you kind of try to find a role like that for Land. I think he's going to end up being an outside linebacker, probably like a
3-4 guy.
You're playing half field, try to keep him downhill.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to try to get him in pass rushing situations as much as you can.
He has the speed off the edge. Ariel Duran wants to know any opinions on Moro Ojamo from Texas. If you don't know.
Interesting. He's another interesting guy. Another Shrine Bowl guy, if I remember it correctly. I've got him. He's got some decent speed and quickness. Good upper body. He needs to stay more active with his hands, and he's not a great pursuit defender. Okay. And what that means is, when I say that you're not a great pursuit defender and you're a defensive tackle, that means that I'm not seeing you close gaps a lot. I'm not seeing you play inside the box very well, and so that's not great. So I know that there were a few different scouts that I've talked with about him, because when I like that kid out of Texas. I'm like, Ojo? No. Ojomo? No, I don't like, no, not Ojomo. The other guy. Because there's another guy that's over there. Keandre Coburn, who's coming out of Texas, that a lot of people like, but he's more of a nose. So,
all right. And a couple more questions for you. Jay Realist wants to know about Jamie Robinson, Florida State's free safety replacement for Jimmy Ward. Like,
love it.
Okay,
love it. The thing is, Jamie is going to be so versatile.
Yes,
right?
Which is what the 49ers want from their safeties. Box, out deep, safety, nickel. Can you play in some different positions? Can you do that?
And that's what Jamie did really well. You see it at Florida State. There was 2 guys that they would rotate. It was him and Dallas Gant. Jamie would play a lot in that sort of midfield. Sometimes he would play deep coverage. A lot of times he'd come down into the box, and he's kind of playing as I think you call it as a rover defender. So he can do that too. And so I really like him. I had a little conversation with him at the Senior Bowl as well. He's another good dude. He's focused, and I think he's going to mesh really well.
Would he be available though that late in the draft?
Possibly.
Okay.
Very possibly.
And then last but not least, a free agent question from my man Gammon Brown. Jadeveon Clowney as a veteran for the 49ers on the edge. Do you see him fitting into this defensive this defensive front? I mean, he's a monster, he's a freak, but just mentally, does he fit?
I don't think you're not going to be able to pay him enough, and you're not going to want to pay him enough.
Okay.
Because that was the issue that he's had the last couple of years, and why he hasn't been at training camp is because he can't seem to agree on money right now. He wants he's got his mindset on a certain set number, and if you don't hit that number, he's not interested.
Gotcha.
And so I don't know. The problem is I don't know what the cap situation is going to look like once you get through, cuts and different things like that. And restructures. Right now, I think Spot Track had you at $3 million in cap right now.
Almost 3.2 million, and then over the cap has us at like 8. But I have to break down what their breakdown is. But
right, and I think the difference between over the cap and Spot Track is over the cap is counting the $5 million that you're supposed to pay out to
the I got you.
What's his name? D Ford.
Well, we owe him $8 million.
Yeah, but you're supposed to pay him $5 this year.
Got you.
So
it could be that. It could be something simple as that. I don't know. I'll figure that out later on the show. But listen, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I look forward to chatting with you off the air. And ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Wayne Breezy Show, special edition, man, with my man, the one and only. You can @ him on Twitter right now. Make sure you give him a follow. Draft Vogel. I know so many Johns. This John must be a great name. Like all my great friends' names are John. And I'm glad to have you as a friend, and I appreciate you for jumping on, bro. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Wayne. Appreciate you, man. And the opportunity as always.
All right, brother. Peace out. That was a great show, guys. I learned so much. It's really cool getting confirmation from an expert, because I feel like I'm so far from expertise. I know what I like and I know what I see. Sometimes I don't know how to say it and articulate it properly, but listening to John was like like a breath of freaking fresh air. And it's not because he had some of the same thoughts and ideas that I had. It just let me know that I might be on the right track. And so hopefully next year at the Senior Bowl and these different events, I might be able to try to see if I can roll with him and just, hang up and just pick his brain at these events, man. But I love you guys. You guys were amazing. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the constructive criticism. As always, don't forget to like. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section of the show. And thanks, most importantly, thanks for watching. And if you're going to listen to it, this will be available. Right now, I got to go pick up little Romy Rome. I love y'all. Stay up, stay faithful. Always keep it nitty gritty, baby. Peace out.